One of the most prominent phases of my 6 month long bipolar manic episode is when people started to distance themselves from me. The reason why this particular phase stands out to me so much is the feelings of loneliness and despair were so overwhelming. And I remember being incredibly distraught about the fact that people were ignoring me, that people weren't buying into my paranoid delusions, that people had absolved themselves from the presence of Tyler Adolfo. You see, at the beginning of my junior year of college, I was living inside a fraternity house with hundreds, not hundreds of brothers, but I was interacting with hundreds of people on a weekly basis. And when the mania first started, I became more social. I had bolstered confidence. The sense of euphoria really drove me to be productive in everything that I do. But that productivity had a law of diminishing returns, and before you knew it, I wasn't productive at all. I went from doing many things to being able to do practically nothing. I went from being super social to now being a social outcast. And the thing is, during my mania, there was an accumulation of delusions over the course of it. First, it started off with like delusions of grandiosity that I was a superior person, and it escalated quickly into then believing that I'm related to John F. Kennedy, or new delusions regarding paranoia started to develop. I had a fear that Nazi and communist agents were after me, and that some brothers in my fraternity were collaborating with these agents against myself because of what I was trying to expose and reveal, and the world was in danger, and I was the only one who could change things. So there was an accumulation of delusions, and what followed that was an avalanche of accusations disseminated from myself towards others, towards people who I was at one point close with. So I understand why people started to distance themselves from me. I don't harbor any ill feelings towards those who started to distance themselves from me, because had I been in their shoes, especially not having the knowledge of mental illness that I have now, I would have done the exact same thing. I think I would do things differently now just because of the insight that I have regarding bipolar disorder and the new knowledge that I've gained from my own research and experiences. But I don't harbor any ill will because, we were all a bunch of, 20-year-old college somethings, and you can't expect really anybody, especially people that young, to have a masterful understanding of the world of mental health. And for those who do, all the power to them. That's an amazing thing. We need more of that in this world. But it's not my position to pass judgment on those who aren't in that position. So there really was a strong sense of loneliness during my manic episode, during the last few months in particular. Because I remember I would post to social media sporadically, expressing my delusions, trying to get people to buy into what I was saying, because I believe those things to be true, that Nazi agents were after me, that the chancellor of UMass was involved, that brothers in my fraternity were conspiring with these agents. These are all things and beliefs that I had adhered to ardently. And they weren't rational thoughts, and yet I put them everywhere. I plastered them all over my Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, for my 1,000+ followers, friends, family, people I went to high school with, acquaintances, for all of them to see. It's not ideal. I had a full throttle presence on social media, and yet exactly 0 people were interacting with what I was saying. There were some instances where people would reach out, via Instagram DM and say, "Hey, is everything all right?" And then I would respond with a garrulous 8-paragraph text talking about how no, everything's not all right because the world's coming to this and I'm the only one who can fix it. And hey, if you're interested, you could help me. So people distance themselves from me in person. People distance themselves from me on social media. So both in the online digital worlds and in the physical realm, I started to find myself alone. And it was in this state of being alone that I developed profound suicidal feelings. And this is where mania can be so dangerous, and you start to exhibit high risk behaviors. I remember threatening to drown myself in Campus Pond if some brothers didn't meet with me to discuss a press conference that I was going to hold to expose sexual assault on campus. So my actions at this time were totally antithetical to my character. They're not how I would normally conduct myself. They're not really how any sane person would conduct themselves, and yet I conducted myself in that irrational, delusional way. Everything that I said and did was totally nonsensical at that time. So I don't harbor any ill will towards anybody who distanced themselves from me. I just want to put that out there. I would do things differently just with my knowledge that I have about mental illness. I wouldn't validate a person's delusions, but I would let them know that I'm there, and I would, be an ear to listen to just in case they start to develop suicidal symptoms or something else severe of that nature. Because bipolar disorder, 20% of people with it do commit suicide, and I was close to being one of them at multiple points in my life. And this was especially true at various points during my 6-month-long manic episode. So that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. This was just about how, everyone ghosted me when I was manic. And I don't blame them. I felt lonely, but it also taught me a lesson in the long run, and that is how I would respond differently. We can't control what happens to us at all times, but we can always control how we react to it. And that's of paramount importance for us to understand. So please hit that subscribe button, hit the like button if you're new. Be sure to leave a comment if you resonated with anything I said, or if you have some thoughts of your own that you would like to delineate. Please feel free. You're always welcome to. Love you all. Love and light to all. Peace out, yo.